All right, everyone. I actually got a news tip from my best friend from high school. I will only use his first name. It's Nick, and I won't link out his account because I'm not sure I'm get in trouble for actually sending this to me. It's an email circular, actually, from the American Librarians Association, or American Library Association. I'm going to read this part verbatim. The Rhetoric and Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 about libraries and schools is very troubling. The opening section of the project report is filled with allegations of criminal conduct by librarians, publishers, authors, and educators, and argues in favor of criminal charges and incarceration. We know these aren't empty threats because we've fought against a number of states who have already attempted to enact these same kinds of laws. The highly politicized statements and divisive language used in Project 2025 are not only inaccurate, but also contribute to further polarization among Americans who believe in the First Amendment and the freedom to read. Now, let me parse this apart here. With regards to Project 2025, the Trump crossover, censorship of books, etc. I do not believe in censoring any book, no matter how objectionable the content may be. What I don't want to see is school libraries, specifically for little kids, having books on sphincterbation and stuff like that. It would be sort of like if you tried to load the Anarchist's Cookbook into a 12th grade, into a 6th grade library or something like that. It wouldn't go over so well now, would it? I don't believe in banning any literature. I believe that it should all be free to read. It should all be available. If it's in digital format, that's fine. Paperbacks available, that's fine. If it's a public library, if it's particularly objectionable content, it's just in the adult section. So, little kids aren't checking out that book. Although I am a little bit of a hypocrite here. When I was very young, was I reading stuff that was potentially sexually objectionable? Yeah. I was also using the computer terminals at the library to look at the same stuff. I quickly realized that if you clicked the ads on anime pages, you could get to the good stuff, and then it was very fun. That being said, children should not be deliberately exposed to smut. Children should not be deliberately exposed to things that would be considered generally, if the general public would consider it to be conceivably very objectionable, they shouldn't be deliberately exposed to it. If it's available there, they're going to find it anyway. Okay, there's no problem with that. Nobody's trying to take the book off the shelf. What we're saying is we don't want a pervert reading about masturbation to 4th graders. That's the only thing. Now, as far as the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, I would like to point something else out, and then we'll get into the ALA itself and why this shouldn't be a thing. Well, actually, I'll get to that first. Technically, they're supposed to be nonpartisan. They're not supposed to be sending out this sort of email. That is unacceptable according to their purview as supposedly a nonpartisan organization. They're clearly taking up a partisan line on this particular issue, because the issue at hand only has to do with compulsion and involuntary exposure of such materials to minors. Nobody cares if somebody who is 18 or above wants to read the sphincterbation book. I don't give a fuck. Nobody cares. If you do you, and you probably do. That's perfectly fine. And you don't need to read it to kids in a publicly funded school setting. You don't need to read it to kids at the library, cozy book hour or something like that with a drag queen of questionable credentials or something like that. That's the problem. The problem, and then we'll get into the Trump thing. They're trying to dovetail Project 2025 at large with the Trump campaign to try to scare liberal voters. They're coming for your books. They're coming for the women. They're coming for the gays and coming for everything. And turn the United States into a Christian theocracy. But the Trump campaign has disavowed it. So what the fuck is the problem? They're making a big light of it and trying to dovetail it in with a campaign that has literally disavowed the whole project. Now, on the deregulatory side, I believe Trump is probably even beyond Project 2025 at this point. Seeing how federal bureaus have worked, including the Secret Service, I'm sure that he has some misgivings about not even axing things further. I think he'd even go ahead of Project 2025. I'm sure the Heritage Foundation would be very happy with his governance. But he's not a Christian. He's not a fundamentalist Christian. We need to understand that. Number two, in defense of Trump, in tying into the Project 2025 thing when they're fear-mongering, the very first thing that Donald Trump put in, the very first plank in his platform as part of his official Project 47, which as of tonight may be Project 48, by the way, just saying Biden might resign, and that'd be hilarious. It's the best thing for it, really, but we're not sure whether he's going to do that or be a caretaker. The very first plank in his platform under Project 47 was anti-censorship. It was explicitly to prevent digital censorship, to have an Internet Bill of Rights, to reform Section 230 so that so that sites that are clearly platforms and not publishers can't just randomly act as both and have to choose a side. Are you going to curate everything and be legally culpable, or are you going to be basically a common carrier social media site? He is not in favor of censoring your fucking books. Neither am I, by the way. I don't care if you publish a sphincterbation book. That's perfectly fine. Parents should be involved with whether their kid reads it or not. It shouldn't be up to the government or anything like that. I don't believe in banning it, but I also don't believe in explicitly promulgating it, using in some cases taxpayer money. Some of these libraries are publicly funded. You shouldn't be doing that. This would be considered objectionable by the average person in the United States. We have rights. We have parental rights. We have rights as citizens. Are we not allowed to say, if my tax money is going to this particular school or library or whatever, then I should have some sort of say over what is being expressed in that setting? I don't have any right to say you can't stock the book. But I do have a right to say, hey, I'm uncomfortable with you explicitly endorsing this work and reading it out to small children. I think that's perfectly fair, and it's in keeping with the First Amendment, by the way. And the First Amendment is not an unequivocal right of you to perv on small children. That wasn't really the point. Mainly it had to do with political speech, the most censored speech actually of all, which is very, very intriguing. So the speech that was most explicitly needing to be protected, socio-political speech, is the one that the liberals don't have a problem with suppressing. But if you try to suppress the sphincterbation book, that's a big problem. Can I please ask one question in closing here? To the ALA and everyone else. Why are you so concerned with having the right to read pornographic material to 10-year-olds? It makes me uncomfortable, actually. As a parent, by the way, it makes me uncomfortable. Oh, this would never fly over in the Netherlands. Oh, God, you'd get punched out. It would never be allowed. Maybe in Amsterdam, I don't know. It makes no sense. You're not going to protect political materials like political dissident tracts or manifestos or something. You're not calling to protect them. You're only calling to protect the book on masturbation that's being read to middle schoolers and shit like that. I mean, it's just weird. That's the problem that we have. This is just propaganda. Project 2025 is not calling to ban your books. It's calling to not read them to small children if they are sexually explicit in nature. Trump hasn't even embraced Project 2025. In fact, he's gotten a shellacking from some elements of the more moralistic far right for not endorsing it. So what the fuck is the problem? What the hell is your issue? That's about all. Peace out.